Welcome. My name is Matthew Bayer. I'm in Solaris Marketing at Sun Microsystems. And with me today I have Chris Wood, who is the CTO of the Storage Solutions practice at Sun.
That's correct, Matthew.
Thanks.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So we're here today to talk about storage solutions for high-performance computing.
Solaris wants to talk about storage solutions.
There we go.
Congratulations. About time.
We get there. And Sun has been very active in the HPC space. So on the storage side, it would be very interesting to hear from you what we're doing, also what challenges customers are facing, and to kind of set the frame for this discussion.
Okay, that's super. So storage in the HPC world is almost a contradiction in terms. Think of what they want as they want very, very fast, high-performance scratch space. I have tens to hundreds of thousands of home directory spaces, petabytes worth of data. You actually have to back it up. There is no backup window and no time to do that. This makes life fairly tough to do. Second, and I almost hate to say this, the customers actually want to buy more compute and less storage, money-wise. More nodes is better nodes, which means I'm driven to not only deliver them the performance, the protection, the backup, but at the same time I have to do that extraordinarily cost-effectively. So that's the challenge we have as a vendor and our customers have as consumers of the storage.
When one talks about storage, it's very hard not to at some point touch on file systems.
Right.
Can you talk about file systems in the HPC space, what Sun has got, and what our approach is, and what we recommend people to use or look at least?
Absolutely. In fact, Sun has one of the widest gamut of file systems of any vendor out there. I think I'll start with the leading one, which is Lustre, which is now part of Sun. And Lustre is one of the world's first object-based file systems. That means as I add capacity, I can add more what I really refer to as object storage servers. Think of that as data movers. So as I add capacity, I add bandwidth at the same time. So that's sort of the big issue there. And when I mean bandwidth, I mean petabytes a second of bandwidth. Now we also have two other very interesting products. One is known as SAM, Storage Archive Manager. And it gives you the ability, without operator intervention, to move data in the background between different tiers of media. And this is where I want to get into the concept I mentioned of how do I go fast and at the same time protect the data and be extremely cost effective. What I can do is really give a user a virtual namespace of whatever size they need and have that data sit on high performance disk, low cost, dense, cheap and deep serial ATA, or tape. And it all looks the same to the user, no operator intervention. And that's a big thing in HPC. You really don't want acolytes running around staging data. You want the system to stage the data for you when needed, to the right device, the right place, the right time, and most importantly, the right cost.
Got it.
Now, there's one more piece. QFS, the Quick File System, that's a fully clustered SAN-aware file system. That means multiple servers can be accessing the same data at the same time. And what that spelled, if I put 10 servers out there all running 10 gig E interconnects, bandwidth. Bandwidth and scalability is what I get out of the Q part of it. So we have three products. We can make them interoperate together seamlessly. I don't believe any other vendor can bring that to the table.
So SAM and QFS, of course, have been around at Sun for a while. We've had some very exciting news recently with the open sourcing of these technologies. And people can go to Open Solaris and look at the
download the source and have a fun time.
See what's going on behind the scenes. So we talked about the software side. Can you maybe zoom in on some of the hardware solutions that we have and the hardware aspect of storage in HPC?
Since I mentioned SAM, I guess I'll start with the old HAW tape. We have the finest tape in the world that runs from very rapid access tape to very inexpensive high-capacity LTO tape, all of which, under the control of SAM, can look like a huge namespace for older data that you really don't want to access that often. And imagine the cost effectiveness of having your so-called disk data stored on tape. First of all, it's eco-sensitive. There's no power requirement when data's at rest. And secondly, when I want to read it, it just reads like a file system. So we have a full line of tape from very small compact libraries, the SL500, all the way to the SL8500 with 100,000 slots or more. So we can solve the archive side of the house perfectly. The second piece is we have a full range of storage, modular storage, starting with the 2500 series, which gives me extremely cost-effective storage that I can use for scratch space behind Lustre or scratch space behind QFS directly. And, of course, all of these have the option to put inexpensive serial ATA drives that I can use for very cost-effective home directory space. So we cover the gamut from the archive, protection, scratch, and home directory spaces with the right products.
So it sounds like we have the leading products, we have a rich portfolio of technology. How do we make it simple for customers to actually deploy all this good stuff?
Okay, well that's where I'm really excited because I'm leading the team to do this. And we are actually building, I'll call them a combination of best practices and highly detailed reference architectures. Think of it as small, medium, and large, that actually show how you put this together, exactly what products, how they're architected, how they're wired up, what software you use, and most importantly, the capacity and bandwidth available in the different configurations. So when I go out and sell this thing, A, I know it works, B, I remarkably reduce risk and time to deployment because it's already been tested and proven, and it allows me to get out there and, I'll say, really increase the productivity of both the Sun sales force, but most importantly, increase the productivity of our customers by ensuring that it goes in right the first time and meets their requirements.
So when people think about HPC, they think about this massive scale and these huge installations. Of course, not every HPC installation starts off at that scale, and precisely for that reason, it seems we have these granular building blocks. Can you tell us a bit more about how you can scale from a smaller installation to a larger installation without having to re-architect and re-implement your HPC environment?
Yeah. In fact, that's probably one of the strengths of our offering. We have designed a set of modules. There's a scratch module, for instance, a home directory module, a data access module, that's the one that moves it into the grid, and what we call a core data management module that controls the placement of the data automatically through the system. Each of those you can buy, and I'll call it bite-sized chunks. So if I need more scratch, go buy 4 of them. If I need more bandwidth, buy some data access modules. If I need more home directory space, buy a few more of those modules. Each one, data in place, can be scaled vertically, that's a capacity, or horizontally, bandwidth, independently of each other. So not only can I grow from small to large, but as your workload changes, I can adapt the solution to meet your changing requirements. No re-architecting, no data movement, no data migration.
What if, as a customer, I want some help implementing this, regardless of the simple building blocks? What expertise, what services does Sun provide and offer?
Okay. So number one, we're going to have a full range of professional services trained on the implementation of this, and I mean hands-on trained on the implementation of this, which we will be doing as part of the testing and characterization we're running right now. Secondly, we will be training 1 or more headcount, in-depth training in every gem, so you'll have the go-to person who can sit down with you, help you architect, understand the customer's application, and these people will be very tightly tied to the current HPC ACEs so that we'll be working with the system side of the house to deliver a unified offering.
Sounds very exciting. When is this going to be available?
Right now.
Right now. So
right now. Get your cards and letters coming in. Don't get stuck behind a long backlog. We expect it to be a really successful and fun thrust from Sun.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. That was very informative. That's all we have time for today. So thank you for joining. Thank you also for joining. And if you would like to learn more about storage and HPC, you can go to these URLs. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.